Yesterday's class we discussed about the service of S3, right? And we have seen with the help of S3 hosting a website, and we have seen the different features of S3 like versioning, and we were to discuss about the life cycle management of S3, but unfortunately the session got disconnected. Uh, in 10 minutes we'll discuss about the life cycle management of S3, and then we'll proceed further for another service for AWS, that is IAM. Okay. From this picture here you can see the life cycle management of S3, and as on S3 Amazon guy has divided it into two different storages. One is standard and other is frequent access storage. So and the other is infrequent access storage. Standard storage is less frequently accessed when compared with frequent access storage. Here the topmost access storage of Amazon what offers is this is frequent access storage. Assume that you have uploaded something to Amazon S3, and you want that files to be frequently accessed, like thousands of customers access much frequently. Then always you prefer to create an S3 storage of frequent access. So basically when you create the Amazon S3 bucket, it automatically creates in a frequent access storage type only. Okay. But if you want to have less access, okay, hundreds of users per day, or such kind of scenarios, I was just taking an example of 1,000 and 100. Okay, um, don't consider the values exactly. Then you will go with standard storage. Okay, if you have very 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 less frequent access data, so what we prefer is there is another storage with our Amazon, that is Glacier. Okay, on the Glacier we prefer you to store your data. So Glacier is backup storage of AWS. So what does this backup storage of AWS is? Sorry, if you want to upload some files like an files of your backup server, assume that every on-premises data center will have a backup server, right? From that backup server, if you want some another backup server, it's like a disaster recovery point of thing. Okay, it's like backup server. In that scenario, we prefer that please store those backup files in our Glacier service of AWS. So when you will access the backup files, if something goes down, okay, in rare cases you will access and you'll download that backup files and you recover the data, right? So it means that that is infrequent accessing of the data. Okay, and it is very cheap service of AWS when compared with S3. Okay, now in S3 we had a feature called lifecycle management. What exactly lifecycle management is? So customers upload their data to Amazon S3 bucket, and you can design a life cycle for the objects in the bucket. Okay, I mean the entire bucket, such a way that hey, whatever the objects I upload, after greater than or equal to 30 days should automatically move to my Glacier storage of AWS. Okay, these design pattern, the period, uh, everything is called life cycle management. I'm just repeating myself. So whatever the data you upload into Amazon S3 bucket, okay, if you enable the lifecycle management on this S3 bucket, okay, on that lifecycle management, you have to provide the duration of how long you want to keep or you want to have your objects in the bucket. Okay, if the bucket objects crosses more than 30 days, this is just an example I was telling you. I was creating an example of 30 days, taking an example of 30 days, greater than or equal to 30 days. I can create a rule for my lifecycle management such a way that this data can be moved to Glacier. Or I can create another rule, not moving to glacier. The other rule might be if greater than or equal to 40 days, delete the objects. So assume that I have uploaded one file. So every file will be considered in a S3 bucket as an object, right? So assume that the one number object has crossed more than 40 days, the bucket automatically will delete that particular object. Okay, let us see how do we do this. Go to AWS console. I'm going to S3 storage. Okay, yesterday I deleted that bucket, whatever we created. Now let me create another bucket. Create bucket. I'll name it as test 13. Okay, Mumbai region. Just create it. Okay, somebody take it. Okay, I created a bucket with name test 13 AWS. Just click on that bucket. In order to enable this lifecycle management, okay, go to management category of that bucket. Here you can say right now there are no lifecycle rules applied to this bucket. Here is how that gets started. He has just wanted to give you a just overview of how this lifecycle management works. Here, use lifecycle rules to manage your objects in the bucket. That's what I said. The rules might be like greater than or equal to move to glacier storage, or greater than or equal to delete the object, or the depend, or you can define the rule on size of the object, different things. Next, automatic transits to tied storage. I mean, moving to glacier storage is nothing but they are telling that this sentence mean that objects can be moved to glacier storage. Okay, expire your objects. It means that delete your objects. Now, how we should, in order to enable this, just click on get started. Okay, the rule name. First, we have to define a rule. So I'll name it as uh, rule 1 30 days. For my remembrance, I was naming something like this. Okay, if you have already enabled the versioning on this bucket, okay, or maybe in future you will enable the versioning on the bucket, right? So he is right now in this rule itself asking, hey, he's assuming if what in future Karthik enables the versioning on the bucket, so every file will have a number of versions, right? So he's asking this rule should be applicable on which version of object. Okay, it should be applicable on the present version of object or the entire present and the previous versions of object. If you want it only to be uh, applicable on current version, that's okay, or not only on previous version, that's okay, or both current and previous, just select this two. You don't have any transition set up for current version of object because I haven't set up any transitions. Like I can say after here transition means it means transfer to Amazon Glacier after 30 days. Okay, current version. So whatever the version whatever the objects I upload on this bucket, if it that expires, okay, if that crosses more than 30 days in that bucket, if that stays in that bucket more than 30 days, it will automatically move to Glacier storage. So after moving up, so after copying that data, what should it do? it should delete that particular file on the S3 bucket. That's what it means. Okay. Now here I have created a rule with the rule name. This is review. Rule 1 hyphen 30 days. Okay. This is on entire whole bucket. Okay. What it does. So after 30 days, it will move to transition to Amazon Glacier after 30 days. After 30 days, it will move to the back objects will move to Glacier storage of AWS. Save. That's it. Now we have enabled the lifecycle management on that bucket. This is how you enable the lifecycle management on bucket from this beautiful console. Okay. Now if I uploaded something after 30 days, that will be enabled. That will be moved to Glacier. Okay. This is how this lifecycle management of Amazon S3 bucket works. Upload your data to Amazon S3. Okay. Enable the lifecycle management by creating your rules. Okay. Now coming to Iam. Okay, before going to Iam, just let me delete this bucket. Okay, in order to delete the bucket, go to Amazon S3 and search for the bucket what you want to delete. Test 13 AWS, right? Just no, don't click on the bucket name. Okay, click just side to the bucket anywhere. Okay. Now after that, here you can see that delete our bucket. Click on delete bucket. Now here you have to type the bucket name in order to delete the bucket. This is for like confirming. People may unknowingly or unwantedly sometimes they delete the bucket. So in order to escape from that, just he's reconfirming, hey, enter the bucket name if you really want to delete. That's what Amazon intention is. Now he deleted the bucket and the content in it. Everything is gone. So before deleting the bucket, always be careful. I mean, reach the concerned bucket owner and ask him whether the data is important or what, or take the backup of the data. Now, talking about the IAM service of AWS. IAM, IAM. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. So from this name itself, you can see that Identity and Access Management. Okay, this service something related to access management and authorization. Okay, now what does this IAM exactly do is, so whatever the AWS account that we created. So I have a question from Nagaraju. Can't we retrieve it after we delete that bucket? No. Or if you once delete your bucket, you cannot retrieve the data of the bucket in any possible ways. Okay. The only possible way I prefer is as soon as you delete the bucket, just raise your ticket to Amazon guys saying that, hey, I have deleted the bucket and there is a lot of information in that. Can you retrieve that to us? Okay, you have to raise a ticket to Amazon support. Okay. Uh, I think they can retrieve and they can provide it to you because as soon as you delete the bucket, Amazon actually doesn't delete the bucket. Okay, it has some policies that after 24 hours or after 12 hours in the backend it deletes the bucket. Okay, because people do something like this, right? And after taking the everything in detail confirmation from you, then I think I'm not sure that then I think Amazon will provide that content back to you, the bucket content back to you. Okay. See, it all depends upon how you deal with Amazon customer. See, if you want, even you can move your on-premises server to Amazon data center also. I have a beautiful server in my on-premises. I want move. There is a lot of application design on this server that is such a way that that server that application is muchly coupled with each other. Okay, in that situation, what you can say, you can talk with Amazon guys, and even you can, everything is possible. It's not like nothing is possible. But according to the Amazon standards, no. According to the documentation, if once the bucket is deleted, it is not retrieved. But if you reach the support team and if you want some extra payments or something, then you can retrieve the data. Now, talking about IAM service of AWS. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. So, you created an Amazon account, right? With providing your username and password. On username, you have given your email ID and the password. You cannot delete other owners' buckets. Okay, I have another question on this S3 itself from Nagaraju. What if you delete bucket of any other customer? No, you cannot delete the bucket of any other customer because that bucket is created by you on your AWS account and you are the responsible for that. Nobody can have that permission because no. However, somebody can delete this bucket until unless you provide your username and password and the login details of Amazon console to them. Now, so you have enrolled and you have created an account with Amazon, right? With email ID and password. Okay. So right now, the login details you are entering, okay, the email ID and password, and you're trying after logging in, those are root, okay, credentials or root account of AWS. So every AWS account will have a root account. So the first time while registering with AWS, whatever the email ID that you provide, that is the root user of that entire AWS account. So he's the owner. He can do everything on the AWS console. He can deal with whatever the services. He can delete. He can do everything. But now in organizations, you are not only the one person who will be working on AWS, right? Who will be working on your data center that you have designed on AWS or the servers that you placed on AWS. So assume that there are 10 to 12 people on your team. They are working on AWS. So how do you do that? So the administrator would be the root user name that you have provided while registering with AWS. Under that, with the help of IAM service, okay, you can create standard users. Assume that I have a team of 3 people, Raju, Ravi, and Teja. Now, Raju is the IT guy and Ravi is a developer. Okay, Teja is my manager. Now, what I can do is they want to have access. My manager wants to see every day the billing of AWS, how much they are charged, okay, and what are the things they are doing. Just he wants to see. And Raju is as an IT administrator guy. Okay, he usually creates and launches EC2 instances, create and deletes S3 bucket, right? So he should have all permissions. And Ravi as a developer, he should have only, assume I'm just telling, I want to restrict this Ravi only to S3. service of AWS. Raju can just upload data on the bucket and whatever it is, he can delete the data, modify the data on the buckets of S3. That's it. This can be achieved with our IAM service of AWS. First, you have to create users. Okay, create standard users can be done with Amazon S3. Okay, second, you can group users to one group name. You can create the users, you can create the groups, and you can attach these users to the group. Okay, third, you can write policies to users or groups. Okay, restricting these users or groups to services or some resources of AWS. With the IAM service of AWS, you will create users, you will create groups, and you will add that users to the groups. Okay, and you will restrict those users or groups to services or resources of AWS. Okay, with some restrictions, with some policies like what he can do, what extent. So what exactly IAM on the backend it does is there is a thing that who can do on what. This is what the sentence perfectly fits for that IAM. So here these users you can restrict to do what on which resources. Are you getting me, guys? Any doubts on this?
Karthik, can you go back? There was an issue. I missed it.
Which one?
Um, from starting of IAM.
Okay. So IAM stands for
Like
identity.
5 minutes.
Yeah. IAM stands for identity and access management. Okay. With the help of IAM, you can create standard users of AWS. Okay. And you can create groups and you can attach these users to your groups. Okay. And you can create policies to users or groups restricting resources or services of AWS to them. Okay, assume that now I want to create a user Teja. Okay, under user I'll create Teja. Okay, and okay I'll create a group called manager because Teja is my manager. Now what I'll do, I'll add this Teja to by this manager group. Now I write a policy. Okay, just he'll have read only permission on all AWS services. What are the all AWS services like EC2, S3, VPC? These are the different AWS services, right? Okay. Now I'll write a policy to this group or this manager group or this only one Teja user. It's up to my choice. So that whenever Teja logins to my console of AWS, he cannot create, he cannot delete, he cannot do nothing. All he can do is just read only. He just see that console. That's it. Nothing more than that. He cannot do nothing. This is how you can restrict users to certain services of AWS with the help of IAM. So let us see how we do that. You can find this IAM under category. Guys, when you click this button, it will go back. This is like a home button for the AWS console. You can find the IAM under management tools. Not management tools. Where does he keep the IAM?
Networking.
Security and identity compliance. Okay. Identity compliance is nothing but the user recognition and authorization kind of thing. That's the reason he kept it here. Manage user access and encryption keys. Okay. When I click on this Iam, guys, these are the standard users. How do we create a user? This is the dashboard. It is saying that on my AWS account I have 6 users and 1 group created and 4 policies created and 8 roles. Okay, and what are these roles? Roles are something, see, with the help of users, what you can do, you can communicate with AWS services like EC2 or S3. Where is the user? He is outside of AWS, right? He is outside of AWS. So if somebody from outside wants to communicate to our AWS resources, we create users and we will give the policies, I mean permissions for that user to communicate. Okay. Now, what if my one service of AWS wants to communicate with other service of AWS? Assume that what if my S3 service of AWS wants to communicate with another service of AWS like Glacier. In lifecycle management, you have seen that S3 is pushing all, after 30 days, it is pushing all the data to Glacier service, right? In that scenarios, you have to create a role or, okay, roles are something which helps one service of AWS to communicate with other service of AWS. Okay. On the roles also, again, you write the policies saying that, hey, role, you'll have a permission. Okay. S3 buckets can communicate with Glacier. You have to write the policy on these roles and you have to attach this role to that S3 bucket so that that bucket can move the data to your Glacier storage. But you may ask question, Karthik, we haven't done this creating a role and everything while you are creating this lifecycle management. Okay. On the back end, Amazon does that. Okay. Not we. He has taken the pain of creating the roles and everything. Just about S3. But when it comes to other services of AWS, like I'll tell you one example. You can create on S3 bucket itself. I'll take. You can, if somebody deletes data on S3 bucket or somebody deletes this entire S3 bucket, if you want to get notified through email or SNS, I mean SMS. Okay, there is a service called SNS, stands for Simple Notification Service. This is another AWS service, Simple Notification Service. What exactly this service does is it will notify the end users. It will notify the end users through email and mobile SMSs. Okay, here now I want to notify if somebody deletes the data in my bucket, okay, to the end users whoever the email ID provided, whatever the email ID provided, like Raju at the rate gmail.com or his mobile number, okay, something. Those are the end users for your SNS. Now here your AWS S3 trying to communicate with another service SNS. Okay, in this scenario you have to create a role and you have to write a policies to the role such a way that S3 can have access to or S3 can call Amazon SNS service. So within the AWS service, they are trying to communicate with each other. I mean that if one AWS service wants to communicate with other AWS service, in that scenario, they'll use the roles. Okay, if somebody from outside wants to communicate with our AWS service inside services, then we use users. This is what the difference between roles and users. Now going back to this console, how do we create users? Just click on the users left side, add user. I can create a user, like for example, I create a user What? Test case AWS. Let me see. I have another email ID. I just forgot. Test case AWS 66 at the rate gmail.com. Okay. Now I have created a user. I have provided the user details. Second, here saying, hey, how do you want to access of AWS resources? This is external user, right? Via programmatic access or console. I told you that, guys, on yesterday class. I'll go to yesterday's slide page. Okay. When I go up, yeah, talking about this diagram, users, one way of communicating to AWS is one is through console, one is through API, one is through console, right? One is through API, one is through SDK, and other is CLI. Okay. Now you console, you provide username and password, but API communication or SDK communication or CLI communication, how? With the help of access key and secret key, right? This is what now he's asking. There are two ways of either to username and password or access key or secret key. Now he's asking, you are creating a user test case AWS66 at the gmail.com, but how do you want to communicate? Either through programmatic access or Amazon console, AWS management console. The console means whatever we are seeing right now. Assume that I want to give him an just console access. Just click on that just console access. Now he is asking for console access, this will be the username. What would the password you want to? Should I auto generate a password Amazon, or you can keep the custom password like something. This is the custom password. I have kept it for that particular user. No, here asking, do you want to reset the password whenever the first time the user wants to sign in? Yes, because I am administrator, I am creating this user. So whenever I provide this username and password to that guy named test case, so whenever he logins, he should change the password and he should keep that password with him safe, right? That's the reason I have enabled it. Next, going to permissions. Here he's saying, hey, do you want to add these users to any group? Add users to group. If yes, select the group from here. Right now I have only one group created, TMS-team. Or if you want to leave it, just skip this. Okay. Or if you want to create a new group, from here also you can create a new group. Okay. And you can add that users to that group, or that's it. I don't want to add these users to any group. Just what I'll do, I'll just skip this. How? By clicking on this right side. I'm moving from here to here. Now, what permissions you want to provide for the users? So in this, hey, do you want to copy the permissions of some X users that already there? Guys, there are, I told you I have 7 users already created, 6 users already created. He's saying, do you want to copy the permissions of any of these users? So assume that this Karthik has permissions. He can play with all the AWS services. If I select here, the same permissions will be applied to this user only. He also can play with all the AWS. No, I don't want this also. I don't want to copy the permissions of Karthik. What I want to do, I want to create a new policies, new permissions for that user. Okay. I want to restrict this user, test case AWS 66, only to just see the bucket. I want to restrict him only to read the bucket, even not to delete the contents in the bucket, not to modify anything. How? Guys, this here on the down you can see these are all pre-designed policies by Amazon. Amazon itself has created some policies. Okay, first I'll search in that whether there is something related to my requirement. Sorry, what is my requirement? Just read only permission on S3, right? So I'll type S3, I'll search S3. Okay, and I can see I have AWS S3 full access, I have AWS S3 read only access. What is this read only access? In detail he has given description. Provider readers only access to all the buckets. Why am I? You'll have just read only access to all the buckets. That's what I require. Just I'll click on this. Now I am attaching this policy to that user. Okay. Now review, created a user with name. He'll have only console access. Okay. And the password, custom password I have created for him, and only a policy of Amazon S3 read only. Yeah, create user. Now this is how we create a AWS Iam user. Now here you can see he is created. The user is created. Now if I go to dashboard, this user cannot directly go to AWS and log in, and he cannot provide the username and password. Why? Because Amazon will provide a account number for each and every root account of AWS. Guys, are you listening to me? Amazon will provide a unique account number for each and every AWS account, root account. Now, my account number of my root account is, this is what? This is a unique ID that is given by Amazon to me. Now, whatever the IAM user, this test case I have created under this account, right? He's a standard user of this root account. So, this is the link you have to provide if he wants to log into the console. Here you can see that HTTP is to / the unique account number of my account and then signin.aws.amazon.com to console. Copy the link. You have to provide this link to your IAM users, then only they can access. Now what I'll do, I have copied this, right? Okay, I'll log in from my account. I'll log out from my account, sorry. Sign out. Now I'll try to log in as a test case user. Pasting that URL. Okay, sorry, I missed that. Even I am a standard user of AWS, not the root user. Okay, this account will be managed by my organization guys. I mean my institute guys. Where go to IAM. What is that link? Copy link, and I'll store it on somewhere. No, it is not copying. Okay, now I'll log out. I'll paste this and enter. Now here you have to provide your test case 66. What is that email ID? Test case AWS 66. If you go into inbox of that particular email ID, here on that inbox, you can see that you could have got an email from AWS saying that, hey, we have created an account for you, and the password is blah blah blah. No, not it. Okay. Test case aws66@gmail.com, and the password that I have provided, and then sign in. Now here see is forcing us to change the password because we have check marked it while we are doing it for the first time.
Bro, what if the user forgets the password after changing it?
He has to reach the administrator, the account root user man, and he has to change it. Now see, I have logged into Amazon account as an test case AWS66 under this particular account ID. Okay. Now here, if I want to do something funny, I want to create Amazon another user. I'll go to Iam. See, you are not authorized to see this. This is how you get. He's not showing any information. User Iam blah 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 is not authorized to perform this action. Okay, but I have given read-only access to S3, right? So I'll go to S3. I'll go to S3. Now I can read everything. If I try to create bucket, test case AWS 56 in any region, Mumbai region, create error, access denied. I was unable to create the bucket because I have given just a read only. Now with read only, he can see the buckets and the contents in the bucket. That's it. Not much he can do. This user can do. This is how you can restrict users to certain services of AWS.
Karthik, can we link our company's LDAP or Active Directory to this?
Yes, for doing that, there is another service called Directory Services of AWS. Okay, if you go to console services, there is another service called Directory Services. Okay, Active Directory Services. Now, what you can do, you can integrate your company's LDAP to this thing. So, whatever the company users that you have on an Active Directory, like 100 or thousands of 500 users, that many users will be created under this Active Directory users. But nowhere this directory users and IAM users are similar. Are you getting me? IAM is something controlled by Amazon side, and directory services are something controlled by your end. That is
Mhm.
different. I'm not going to train this on this particular service on this patch. Okay, this is something advanced level.
So can we define permission in the directory service like we do in IAM?
Yes, but not with
Okay.
AWS resources. Are you getting me? Uh,
Yeah, okay.
I'll tell you this. on further classes. If I tell you, people will get confused. Okay, I'll tell you this on further classes. For time being, just talk about this only because I want to take you with basics and then I want to go to a higher level. So if I tell that, I mix this up and it will mess up. Now, talking about this IAM, we have created a users and we have seen. Just me login back to my another account and let me do log out and again sign into console. Now with my account. See, even I am not a root user for this account. Okay. Now, if I go back to this IAM, one is they have created the users and we have restricted that users to the policies. Policies. Okay. These are all the available policies designed by Amazon. There are hundreds of policies Amazon has designed for you. You can choose from any one of that by searching. Okay. Or if you want to create your own policy, yeah, Amazon do support policy creation. Create policy. How do we do this? Just click on this create policy. Amazon, you can create the policy. One way is through visual editor. Visual editor means which you can see from your eyes and you can create it. Other is JSON. You have to write the script if you are very good at JSON. Okay. Now we are not, right? So we'll go with visual editor. And visual editor, how do I create a policy? Just look at this. Choose on which service you are trying to create a policy. Okay. Now I want to create a policy on Amazon S3. Okay. Right. What actions the users who are attached to this policy can perform? Now they can just read. Already we have that, right? They can just list the content. Okay. Under that list, four have selected. One is list objects, list buckets, list all my buckets or head buckets. No, I want only this policy user just to not to list all the buckets, just or only to list buckets or not to see the objects in the bucket. Okay, this is how particularly you can select each and every in detailed things. If read, or I can say what exactly you want to this users to have. He can read only just object version. Okay, I mean in detail, in minor detail way of policy you can create. I want this users only to get the objects. Yeah, just that's it. Resources, on what resources, objects, which bucket you want to restrict this user. See, we are creating a policy on Amazon S3 service, right? And for that S3 service, he wants to read, I mean get the objects in the bucket. Okay, which bucket? For each and every bucket, Amazon will provide a bucket ARN. Right click and I'll open in a new console. What is the bucket name we created? If I go to that particular bucket, okay, I think we deleted. I'll go to another bucket like Ashraf backup. So for this bucket, there is a unique ID Amazon will provide, and that unique ID is nothing but ARN, Amazon resource name. Okay, I'm copying the bucket ARN, and if I place that bucket ARN here, something it looks like this, ARN hyphen AWS. So copy this ARN and provide that ARN here. I want it to specific add ARN. This is what the ARN. Entered ARN is invalid. What it is invalid? Delete, cancel, add ARN. Bucket name, what is the bucket name? Stuff backup, right? SHRAF-BSCKUP. And yeah, we have. This is how you can review policy, and finally you can create a policy. So, okay, I have missed out an action on this. I'll go back to previous and have to add an action. Do you want to particularly restrict this to on any user? Yes, MFA authentication, multi-factor authentication should happen, or any source IP, particularly this source IP should have access. Assume that only from my home I should allow this user. What is my home IP? My IP. This is what the IP address of my home, WAN side. So I'm telling this rule that I'm making it much complex. See, if I am from my home accessing this S3 with that username and password, I can just get objects in the bucket only of this particular bucket. This is how I am creating the policy. Policy name, I can name it as test case 66 and description for that, and then create policy. Now it will create a policy. Amazon will create a policy. Here you can search it. Test case 66. See what this policy exactly does. If I try to connect it from that bucket or to get the objects in the bucket from my office, no, it won't allow, because I have to be from my home only, because I have restricted this to this particular IP address of my home. So everything depends upon how you design your policies. If you want to design it custom, my intention of showing this is you can customically design your own policy too, with the help of a beautiful visualizer what Amazon has provided for us. Okay, if I open the same policy in JSON format, let me see how do we write the code. I'll expand this. Okay, this is what the JSON on the back end we have to write. There is a version he has given the date, today's date, the version number, and how seed means from how he created this policy visualizer editor. What this policy is allowing to get objects of S3 bucket for this particular bucket from this particular source IP. Okay, this is how the JSON script of whatever we created looks. If you want to read policy, yeah, go to that policy and you can edit it by changing the IP address, or from the JSON itself you can change the IP address to something else, your friends or whoever you want to give. So any doubts on this topic, guys?
No, Karthik.
What about others? Is everyone is good?
Everything is okay, bro.
Okay, going forward, to dashboard of AWS. On this dashboard, this link represents your account's authentication link that you have to provide for your IAM users. Okay, IAM user sign-in link. And these are the, from here you can create users. From here you can create groups. Okay, and you can attach that users to these groups. And here you have created a group, and you can attach the policies to the groups also. So whoever the users in the group will get all these policies will be attached to them. You can see all the list policies, or you can create a policy. Now, under this account settings here, this is a password based policy. See, I can say here what I have kept is, by globally it has, Amazon has kept. If you want to change, you can change. The password should consist of minimum 8 letters, and it should have one uppercase letter, okay, one lowercase letter. This is how you can change your all the passwords policy if you want. This is credentials report, means it downloads all whoever the users are there, what are their credentials and everything. See, right now I have these different users. Okay, for this user also Amazon has provided one ARN number. Again, here you can see that unique number. When this user is created on this particular date, is that user have password? Yes. Okay, when password is created, when password is last used, this user, and when password last changed, everything in detail. Does he have access key, secret key, everything in detail, you can get it from this credentials report. Okay, and identity providers, even I don't know, this is, I was looking for the first time. I think recently Amazon has added this. Okay, that's it guys, that's it, all about IAM service of AWS. Okay, for today, and we'll meet up tomorrow with new service of AWS. Any doubts on this today's topic you have, just ask me. It's like question and query kind of thing. Okay, I hope everyone is good. Okay guys, bye, and we'll meet up tomorrow. Bye bye.
Thanks, Karthik.